Thursday night as well. Hi, my name is Stefan, and I'm currently part of Myanmar House Church, currently shepherded by Daniel and Carmina Alexander. What I love about Brother Daniel is that he meets each and every member where they are in their walk with God. Based on where you are, he will silently pray for you, gently nudge you, or at times, not so gently nudge you. I took this class about 10 years ago, and I remember how great of a class it was, but also, I felt so relieved about not having to take this class again, as well as not having to share my testimony. It's funny how that worked out. I never intended to take Living Life again, especially right now in my current season of life. We actually just celebrated my second son's birthday yesterday, and as a parent of two very young kids, being physically and mentally tired is part of the norm right now. Compound that with all the other grown-up duties, taking Living Life Bible study again never really crossed my mind. Then, one of our house church members was asked to take this class, and for privacy reasons, I will just call him Brady. And I immediately felt prompted by the Holy Spirit to take this class again. Initially reluctant, I had heard stories of other New Life members taking it with their house church members as a way to encourage their fellow house church member. And so my wife, Stella, after hearing Brady also share that he was asked to take Living Life, and told me, "You should take it with him." What's up, buddy? Go with Oma. And also told me you should take it with him. So after getting the green light from my home boss, I had to figure out how I was going to get 12 Mondays off from work. So I had to reach out to my work boss. Because I work in the medical center and don't get off work until 7 p.m., making the assigned 7 p.m. start time at church would have been impossible. So it was a huge blessing when I was able to take Mondays off, but it was also somewhat of a sacrifice because that meant I would have to work Fridays, which I intentionally ask off so that I can go to house church together with my wife and kids. So thank you, home boss, my wife, and my work boss for making this possible. After 10 years, this class has not changed much. From the material to the stories and even the jokes. PE has his timing and delivery down solid. Every punchline hits, and I see so much joy from PE when he makes everyone look for a very hard to find book of the Bible. If you've taken this class, you know exactly the joke that I'm talking about. Another thing that hasn't changed is that everyone who takes this class absolutely loves this class, and I love taking it again. I was surprised at how much I remembered, but also how much of the same material could feel so different to me. I think because my perspective had changed in those 10 years, probably because I became a husband and a father in that time. And so I was relearning a lot of this material, really not for me, but with the intention to teach my kids these fundamental principles again. I told PE that it was like reading a book for the second time and realizing so many new things you had missed the first time. Taking this class, while not rare, is very uncommon and a bit crazy in my opinion. I knew exactly the time commitment I was getting into. The homework, the summarizations, the 9:45 p.m.-ish end times. This class is not to be taken lightly, but it was such a rewarding experience for me. Getting to know some of my classmates and their reasons for taking the class was a huge blessing and source of encouragement for me. There are many people in class who simply took the class because their shepherd or PE had asked them to take the class. Now, as a rebellious natured person myself, if anyone asked me to do something, I immediately want to say no. The fact that a lot of my classmates submitted to their spiritual leaders was very encouraging for me. Another classmate was on their third or fourth attempt at taking this class, and they were finally able to complete this class this semester. How tough that must have been to just have life get in the way, but having the tenacity to continue to try again and again. Or even our college students taking the class on top of a heavy course load. I would understand completely not taking this class during college, because I remember taking this class during grad school. And I remember that every week was a battle to keep going. So thank you, class, for sharing your testimonies. Another blessing was actually the Bible summarizations, which even surprised me that I enjoyed it so much. This is definitely not my type of thing. There's a part of Living Life Bible Study where Pastor Eric asks some kind of grammar or language arts question about the past, present, perfect, past, participle tense. And even after taking this class twice, I still have no clue what he's talking about. So I was really not looking forward to doing these Bible summarizations. And my whole goal was to summarize these passages in as short a number of sentences as I could. But in doing so, I actually spent a lot more time thinking about the passages and enjoyed summarizing the book of Acts. One thing that really stuck out to me was that when Paul preached the gospel all over his journey, the Bible kept mentioning that some believed and some did not. This actually really comforted me to know that even Paul was rejected when preaching the gospel. I can only assume Paul was a great speaker and teacher, but even with those attributes, people still rejected his message and the gospel. It just reminds me that some of my VIPs may reject the message as well, but it's probably because they aren't ready to receive Jesus into their lives. I'm always reminded that we as individuals have to open the door to have Jesus come into our hearts. And even if I was actually good at speaking or teaching, I would still get rejected. And God really does not need me to be anything other than a witness. And last, I am extremely blessed to have taken this class alongside my house church member, Brady, who also graduated today. It was very encouraging to see Brady as a new member and new to New Life stay the course and graduate. When Brady first came to our church, a few people came up to him with the following comments. "Eddie, what are you doing here? This is a church." "Eddie, I'm surprised you haven't burst into flames." From my experience, anyone who goes by Eddie, not Edward or Ed, is usually a really, really, really fun guy to be around. And this is 100% true with our house church member, who I will not name. I remember first meeting Eddie, who was Stella's childhood friend, at a bar for drinks. And I just remembered having a great time and how happy this fun guy Eddie was. But I also remember just having this feeling of how difficult it would be for Eddie to come to church, because he seemed so happy and content. How do you ask someone who seemed just fine, successful, and happy to come to church? But fast forward, Eddie and his wife, for privacy reasons, we'll call her Bristy, are some of our most diligent and consistent members in our house church. And now to see him complete this class, it was extremely encouraging for me. So, I plan to be more intentional with our house church members and VIPs. This class has reminded me that tomorrow is not promised. Many times in my life, I've waited on doing ministry because I felt I was too busy or it wasn't an ideal time. In college, I said, just wait until after grad school. In grad school, I said, just wait until you graduate and start working. And so after work, I say, until I get married, or until my kids are a little older, and so on and so on. Life is just busy, and if I think too much, I may never have taken this class for a second time, constantly finding some reason to not take it. I probably would have not taken the class if it was not to encourage our house church and Eddie in being prompted by the Holy Spirit. So please, New Life, consider taking this class, if not for yourself, then for a house church member who you think may need it, or if you're spiritually dry, or if you have a VIP. Please consider taking it again if you've taken it already.